Oh, well, good morning, everyone. It is a Friday morning here, and it's very exciting. It feels like Christmas morning because the A-League fixtures for the new season are about to drop in about 15 minutes, and we're going to be live here to react to it and hopefully be surprised and pleasantly surprised with some exciting fixtures in the opening weeks. Of course, we've still got a few months until the season actually kicks off. But this is a great way to build hype. When we finally have the fixture list, we can finally start planning away days. And excited as well because we've got some new fixtures coming. Obviously, with Auckland FC being in the competition, we've got the Kiwi Derby to look out for. We've already had a couple of reveals of some of the dates throughout the season, some of the key Derby dates, as well as some of the dates in round one. Round one does kick off on October 18. So we're going to be here to pull up the A-League website and check out the fixtures live. And of course, very excited to see how my Central Coast Mariners go. Mariners, we know the first match that we're getting of the season on that Friday, the season opener, is a rematch of the grand final, Central Coast Mariners Melbourne Victory. I probably would have hoped to have played someone different. Like we usually do see the grand final rematch take place maybe like a few weeks into the season. But hey, we'll take it. I guess it is like a big way to open the season. Some of the other dates we've already seen revealed as well. We've already got a Sydney Derby in the opening week, and then the Melbourne Derby in round two as well. So they're bringing that back. I remember a few years ago they did that where they played a Sydney Derby in round one, and it was a bit of a dull affair. I think it was like a nil or draw. But yes, Wanderers hosting the first Sydney Derby of the season as well. Good to see newer Jets here in the chat. Says can't wait. Spencer, hope you're doing well, man. Says Brisbane Raw all the way. Raw, we know they're playing Auckland away in their first match of the season. So that's a big occasion for Brisbane, man. Big occasion, obviously, for Auckland, playing their first competitive game of the season. Dan, 11 p.m. here. Dude, where are you tuning in from? Somewhere in Europe, perhaps? Thanks for jumping in, Dan. Spencer asks, is it a bad idea to have the Derby kick off a season? I feel there should be at least 5 rounds so teams can warm up. Yeah, that's like I said, like we had a Derby in round one a few years ago now, and it ruined it a little bit because if you have that sort of a few weeks to get things going, there's a little bit of form heading into it. It's just a different game. Hey, Dan, tuning in from England. Hope all's going well over there. But we know we've got a Sydney Derby round one and then Melbourne Derby round two as well. But we're going to be pulling up when it does drop. We're going to be pulling up the A-League's website, and we're going to be hitting the refresh when it gets closer to 9 a.m. In fact, let's hit refresh right now. Keeping an eye out for when they drop the full fixture list here. I'm assuming, I don't know if I've seen any clarification. I'm assuming they're dropping both the men's and women's fixtures. The clubs have just been using the terminology, the full fixture. That's what I've been seeing. Hey. Is the schedule out yet? Not yet. Set to drop in 12 minutes. 11 minutes now. Set to drop at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. AEST. G'day, Thomas. Good to see you here in the chat. It says, what I find crazy is that they are opening with a Sydney Derby in round one, and then having another one in round 5. Only 4 games between them. Is that right? Round 5. I didn't even know they'd revealed the other day of the next Derby. Is the next Sydney Derby in round 5? Oh, of course it is. No, Thomas, you're right. Of course. Unite round. Good point, Thomas. I didn't put that together, of course. Yeah, we've got obviously Unite round taking place the 22nd to 24th of November. Yeah, wow. So obviously we're kicking off. So October 19, we've got Sydney Derby, and then barely a month later, 23rd November, the next Sydney Derby. That means it'll probably be a pretty long wait until the next one. That's interesting. G'day to the day in sports here. Thanks for tuning in. Being a City fan, I don't think it's great we play them round 2. City, of course, referring to the Melbourne Derby. There needs to be a build-up for the game. I am very nervous for our season, to be honest, but happy about the academy moves we're doing. Yeah, Melbourne City signing plenty of academy players at the moment, going for a bit more of a youthful approach, perhaps. Bit of a new era, Melbourne City too. Hey, I mean, McLaren, Nuno Reis, Togo Arslan, Curtis Good, all departing. So feels like there's a bit of a sort of a fresh era coming in at Melbourne City. Of course, they still have the likes of Tilio and Naboot and Lecky. I think re-signing Tilio on another loan was pretty crucial as well. Hey, all right, fixtures will be released in just under 10 minutes here. We are refreshing the A-League website, keeping an eye on it. Appreciate you guys tuning in this morning. If you want to support the stream, hit the like button. You can also consider sending a super chat to support the channel here. We've been doing plenty of Aussie football content. It's been a big week too. We've had the Australia Cup round of 32s kicked off this week. The Matildas obviously in the Olympics campaign, crashing out last night. Yesterday, I should say. Round of 32 keeps on going. Tomorrow night, we've got Perth Glory, Melbourne City tomorrow night. And now the A-League fixtures dropping. No worries, Thomas. Yeah, you helped me put 2 and 2 together, though. It was Unite round. Spencer chiming in on the Derby situation. Derby should be held like round 7 and the next in round 18. Keep the spread out, build excitement across the whole season. KC7, g'day. Says being 1 hour away from Auckland and 4 hours from Wellington, being a casual Wellington fan, I have no choice now but to support Auckland. It's really interesting seeing sort of the discussions online on the socials surrounding sort of Auckland fans and Wellington fans, and obviously Wellington have sort of been the only A-League club, obviously in New Zealand, since 2007, and we've seen Phoenix play a number of games up in Auckland, like 1 or 2 games a season for the last few years now. And you'd imagine they would have, there'd be a fair contingent of Phoenix fans living in Auckland. So it's going to be really interesting now as to what they would do. I feel like for me, if hypothetically, if I was in that situation, yeah, I'd probably might want to make the switch to Auckland. I think if that's a city that you sort of really feel connected to, if that's your home, it'd be weird supporting, a team from another city. I don't know. That's just my thought. I don't know. What do you guys think? G'day, Troy. Good to see you in the chat. Good morning. Thoughts on Gustafsson's departure? It's not really surprising. When I did my I was chatted about it a bit when we were live last night for the Tillies review of the USA game. It's not really a surprise, and it was bound to happen. In my review video yesterday, I recorded that before the Gustafsson announcement was made. I was like, oh, we might see something in the next following weeks or months. Gustafsson might step down. And it literally happened like an hour after I finished recording that video. So yeah, it makes sense. Time to move on. New era. Okay. Dan says, I don't know why City re-signed Vidma and didn't look for OK, who was on the free at the time. OK. Look for OK. Oh, sorry. I assume you mean PK there. Paddy Kisnorbo there, Dan. Yeah. I mean, that's really going to heat up the Melbourne derby, isn't it, too? I mean, Patrick Kisnorbo and Melbourne victory. And we've got that first Melbourne derby. We know it's coming round 2. Let's hit the refresh here. So we're keeping an eye on the A-League website live, and we can pull up the fixtures as well. Again, I assume, I don't know if we've got any official clarification, but I assume we're getting both the men's and women's full fixtures. Let's pull up this next tab here too. There are no fixtures to display. Well, that's all about to change in about 5 minutes or so. We are about to get the fixtures. We'll be looking at, obviously, round 1. We've already had some of the round 1 details revealed, but obviously I assume we're going to get a bunch of times and stadiums confirmed as well. Some other big changes for this season. We've got Western United playing all their games, we assume, at Ironbark Fields, which is great. They've got a home base. This is really exciting for Western United. Yes, it is just like the small training ground facility, but hey, if they fill that thing out, it could be a really cool atmosphere. So that's great for Western United fans. We're going to be keeping an eye on obviously all the derbies, and we've already had some of the derby dates revealed. We know, especially the F3 derby, being a Mariners fan, I'm keen to keep an eye for that. We know we have an F3 derby coming in Unite round on November 22. And we're going to be keeping an eye on it as well, just like basically doing an overview of every team's first 5 fixtures and having a look at terms of who has sort of the hardest run to open out the season. Hey, KC back on the Wellington Auckland chats. There's no connection to Wellington, but the team. Auckland is a second home. That's the context, but I just don't think Auckland are strong enough to fight for much more than top half of the table. Yeah, a lot of people really curious, obviously, to see how Auckland go this season. They're a team who they've been building nicely. Steve Corica is obviously a coach who's been successful in the A-League before, and they've signed some, championship-winning players: Scott Galloway, Dan Hall, Jake Brimmer, obviously Johnny Warren medalist as well. Hiroki Sakai, I mean, that's a really exciting defensive signing. A player who's played at the top level around Europe, in France and Germany, and obviously has a very experienced international career, I should say, with Japan, of course. G'day, Nick in the chat. What time in Australia? It is currently 8:56 a.m. We've got about 3 minutes or so before the A-League fixtures drop. Of course, we're keeping an eye on the A-League website here, and let's see, maybe they've dropped early. We're hitting refresh. Hitting the refresh. I mean, this gives us a chance actually to maybe chat about some of the recent stories here on the A-League website. Of course, Edgar Mariners recently signed a new Brazilian winger. Looks like an exciting signing. Obviously, Mariners, we've signed some really exciting Brazilian players over the last few years. Ronald Barcelos joining on loan last season, Mateus Maresh a couple of years ago. And they've all done a decent job. Hello to Rodrigo in the chat. New here. Thanks for jumping in, Rodrigo. Hope you're doing well. Just started following Auckland FC with a heavy interest in tactics. I'll be covering their games this season. Please, could you tell me how Steve Corica's teams normally play? Thanks. Thanks for the comment, Rodrigo. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Auckland had their first hit out in a preseason friendly a few days ago. There's no footage of that game out. I think there's only just like a couple clips on social media. Steve Corica, remember during his time at Sydney FC a few years ago, it would often play sort of a 4-4-2 formation. At times, it was more of a 4-2-2-2. With sort of like two narrow attacking midfielders. That seems to be the formation that Corica did predominantly use. But we'll see. I mean, I'm expecting. I'm keeping an open mind for Auckland FC. We'll see how they approach this new season. Auckland, very excited to see how they go their first year in the A-League. Fixtures are set to drop any minute now. Let's bring up the. Let's jump into the news. Where's news? There we go. All right. So we should have a news article dropping here any minute as well. We've got the fixtures tab open. Obviously, keeping an eye on round one. Then we're going to look out for some of the derbies. Very exciting time. This is the chance for fans to start planning away days and get excited for the new season. Still months away. Rodriguez says, I was at Auckland's FC's first game. 4-1-3-2 formation when in possession, using a lot of wide plays. Nice. Spencer says, my prediction, ladder prediction here. Victory up top, Mariners, Sydney, City, Western, Wanderers. And then the bottom 7, Wellington, Auckland, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, Macarthur, Newcastle. I don't mind that prediction, Spencer. Western United, perhaps a bit of improvement from them. I do like the signing of Hiroshi Ubasuki, that's for sure. All right, here we go. Any minute now. The fixture's set to drop in at 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is, well, we're within the last 60 seconds now. So we're keeping on the official A-League website here for the first news article. You'd imagine it's going to drop at 9. We're about to click over 8:59 right now. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to hit like to support the channel. You can also consider saying through a super chat. And of course, we'll be doing plenty of A-League content throughout the season. Already put out an early ladder prediction a few weeks ago, which was caused a little bit of a stir, as it always does. Is it here? Is it here? It has just clicked over 9 a.m. for me. Have we got the fixtures? Let's hit the refresh. Jump to the fixtures tab. It might take a minute or two to come through. All right, I'm checking the socials as well. It looks like some of the teams have Respective clubs have put out their fixtures. Mariners have just put out their fixtures. We might have to pull this up as well. So some of the respective clubs on the socials, we'll pull this up in a second, are starting to drop their fixtures now. Let's have a look here. You got some posts here from Mariners. This is coming from X, obviously. Let's have a quick look at some of these, because these have dropped right now. Let's keep an eye on these Kiwi derbies. Auckland FC, we knew that we had a couple dates confirmed. 2nd of November, they're taking on Wellington Phoenix. 7th of December, just a month later. Auckland hosting their first Kiwi derby, and they'll be hosting the third Kiwi derby of the season all the way in February, a couple months later. Of course, Auckland kicking off their season at home against Brisbane Roar. Then Sydney at home as well, so a couple home games to kick off. Brisbane, Sydney, then Wellington, Macarthur Jets. Obviously, Macarthur in Unite round. That's a pretty, that's a fair opening 5 rounds for Auckland. Could potentially pick up a couple of wins there. They'll be hopeful against Brisbane that they can win against. They can win at home there. Let's jump back to the A-League website. Have we got an article or something coming through? We have clicked past 9 a.m. Nothing in the fixture tab yet. Let's keep looking at some of these graphics here from the clubs. Mariners have dropped their fixture list here. Let's see who we got. First couple rounds. We knew the first couple of fixtures. Victory home, Adelaide away. Couple home fixtures, Glory and Phoenix. Big run of home fixtures for Mariners. Look at that. The opening 8 rounds, Mariners with 5 home fixtures there. As well, Unite round. And of course, as we know, 13 teams in the competition, so we're going to have the buys. So it looks like teams have 3 buys throughout the season. So where's our other F3 derbies for Central Coast Mariners? Of course, Unite round, but the next one taking place on February 1st. February 1st, that'll be home. Yellow being home. And then the 12th of April away. F3 derby. Okay, so those are pretty spread out, those derbies, the F3 derbies. There we go. A couple teams already revealing their fixtures. Melbourne Victory have just revealed their fixtures. Spencer here says Mariners marketing team needs a raise. They're killing it, aren't they? It's awesome. Let's see here. Melbourne Victory, some FAQs here. And here's their men's fixtures to kick it off. So Melbourne Victory, as we knew, they're going to have the grand final rematch, round 1 away. Then the Melbourne derby, hosting Macarthur, Brisbane, and then away to Wellington. That's a tricky opening 5 for Victory. Potentially looking to get wins, maybe at home against Macarthur and Brisbane. But that is a tricky opening 5 fixtures for Victory. Let's have a jump back to the A-League website. Let's see if we've got a big official article yet. Go back to the homepage. Doesn't look like we've got anything yet. Fixtures were set to drop at 9 a.m. about 4 minutes ago. We've already got a bunch of the clubs publishing on their website. Let's have a look at Sydney FC as well. It looks like at the moment it's just the men's fixtures. So potentially the women's fixtures to drop at a later date. Sydney FC, let's see if we can have a look at their fixture list. Looks like they're just... Oh, here we go. Here we go for Sydney FC. Wanderers away in the derby and then away to Auckland. Couple tough fixtures to start. Away to Brisbane as well before playing Macarthur at home. And then, of course, playing West Sydney Wanderers in the derby in round 5. So 3 consecutive away fixtures to kick off for Sydney FC here. Looks like the buys for a lot of these teams have been fairly spread out. A couple back-to-back buys there. Of course, we do know that Central Coast Mariners and Sydney FC featuring in Asian competitions this year. G'day, Casey in the chat. Casey asks, the article should be on the website. I'm able to see the full fixture list. You are able to? Oh, here we go. It says on the top of the website. What did that just say? Now it's loading. It disappeared. It said something about the fixtures. This is the fixtures tab on the A-League website. Looks like there's nothing up yet. Hopefully something coming. Dan says the fixtures is out on the web. Like on the website. Maybe something's going wrong for me then. Let's see if we've got a news article or something coming through here. Might check the socials for a link. So we've had a look at some of the individual clubs opening 5 fixtures. Melbourne City releasing their schedule here. Let's have a look at Melbourne City. Newcastle Jets away, then the Melbourne Derby, got Western United away, and then Glory away, and then a bye in round 5. Couple of away dates for City there. Could be tricky. Glory away is always a tricky one. It was last season for many clubs. Thank you for pointing that out, Thomas. There is an article on the homepage. Not for me, apparently. Let's go back to the homepage here. Top stories. View more. What are we missing? Has everyone got it but me? Let's see if there's anything from the A-League socials on across X. It looks like all the clubs have sort of released their fixtures. Wanderers making a post here as well. Perth Glory, let's have a look at their fixtures to kick off the season. Okay, they've spread it across home and away, which is kind of a little bit annoying, but let's have a look. Got Bulls away in round 1 before they host Wellington. Now, it'll be interesting if they still call that the distance derby or whether it'll be rebranded for Perth and Auckland. And then away to Mariners, home to City. And then Unite round against Western. So that is a tricky opening. That is definitely a tricky opening couple of rounds, I think, for Perth Glory. Away to Bulls and Mariners, home to Wellington and City before facing Western in Unite round. Interesting. Thomas, you might be right. Thanks for pointing that out. Oh, dude, you're so right. I was on the Isuzu Ute A-League Men specific page. Here we go. Let's do it. So we've got the full fixture list. Here is round 1 with times and stadiums confirmed. Let's have a look. Round 1 fixture. Friday, we've got Mariners victory, 7:45 kickoff. Interesting to see that they've listed some of the times here as 7:45. We saw on some of the club graphics they listed it as 7:35 for that prime time kickoff, but looks like here it is indeed 7:45. So there we go. These times are all AEDT, of course, as well. So for New South Wales and Victoria, those states. Auckland hosting Brisbane Roar, 3 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. That'll, of course, be 5 p.m. in Auckland. Jets host City. And then, of course, we've got the Sydney Derby. Wellington hosting Western on Sunday, Arvo. And then Macarthur Glory. It's a nice opening fixture. I mean, again, we've got mixed feelings about the Derby being in round 1. But hey, we'll take it. Wow. And here we go. They've released some of the Derby fixtures all in one place, which is very handy. Let's have a look. So Sydney Derbies. Obviously, we were chatting before about with the Sydney Derbies, they're the first couple are pretty close together. Round 1 and then round 5. Round 5, of course, being Unite round. And then a big wait all the way until February 8th. Allianz Stadium. Didn't Allianz Stadium host 2 derbies last season as well? Am I missing something? It feels like for the last few years now, the Allianz Stadium have hosted at least 2 derbies. Maybe they're just playing there again because of Unite round. Melbourne derbies here. Of course, we've got a couple of these dates were already revealed. The second round here, 26th of October, 21st of December. That's the Christmas derby, as they're calling it, round 9. And then a fair wait until round 20 for the 3rd derby of the season. Victory hosting 2 out of 3 of the derbies. Kiwi derbies. This is the one that we're really excited for as well. Interesting to see that Wellington are hosting the first derby. I was expecting to see Auckland host first, but it is Wellington hosting first on in round 3. Round 7, Auckland do host Wellington. And then in round 20 as well. Round 20. So that'll be an interesting round because round 20 is also where the Melbourne Derby is taking place. So that'll be a big Saturday, February 22. These times, of course, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. We've got it'll be the Kiwi Derby, and then a couple hours later, the Melbourne Derby. Yeah. Okay. And it looks like they're kicking off 3 p.m., which I assume is, 5 p.m. over in New Zealand, local time. And then F3 derbies. Of course, we knew we were getting the F3 derby in Unite round. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. Of course, we have seen the F3 derby played at Allianz Stadium in the past in the 2008 Grand Final. Mariners hosting February 1, round 17. That's a big wait in between derbies, a few months away. And then towards the end of the season, there often seems to be an F3 derby towards the end of the season, and it's at McDonald Jones Stadium, round 26. So there's a look at our derbies for this season. This coming from the A-League's official website. Love it. Let's see if there's any other details or anything we should be keeping an eye out for. It looks like they've got the full fixture list here. Of course, you can check out for yourself on the A-League's official website. But very interesting to see the placement of the derbies. No derby, by the looks of things, no derbies in January. You look at these sort of, I guess you could call these the four main derbies. Doesn't look like there's any in January. $6 a.m. wake up for the New Zealand derby over in England. Hey, Spencer says Brisbane have a lot of away days. Yeah, we'll finish off with Griddle a little bit later on as well for sure. We always love playing Griddle live here on stream. So there's a look at the opening, the derbies for the upcoming season. Again, that opening round, Mariners victory in a grand final rematch. I'm excited about that too. I mean, Mariners, it feels like Mariners more often than not play away in round one. But especially, I don't know if we've ever hosted the opening game of the season. So that should be fun. 4 p.m. kickoffs as well. It looks like for Sunday Arvo, the kickoffs could well be 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Let's have a look. It's throughout the fixture list here. Sunday, 4 p.m. Just getting a bit of an idea of some of the kickoff times here. 4 p.m. There's a 7. Oh, that's Monday. 7 p.m. kickoff on a Monday. Sunday. 8:45. Oh, of course, that's over in Perth. And they've got the buys listed here as well. So hopefully the buys have been pretty evenly spread out as well. What's your thoughts on the Western Sydney Wanderers fixture? Let's have a look. Let's jump to Western Sydney Wanderers. They made their post a little bit ago here. Let's have a look. Very exciting to see plenty of all the clubs releasing their men's fixtures for the upcoming season. We did see Western Sydney Wanderers back here somewhere, didn't we? There we go. Mariners victory, Sydney. Let's check out Western Sydney Wanderers. Not Wellington. So the fixtures are here, everyone. Feel free to check them out on the A-League's website. Feeling good. Feeling good about the fixtures. Let's have a look at Western Sydney Wanderers for you now. Wanderers, obviously, first season under Alan Stajic, hoping for a big season. They don't even have a... I was hoping they'd have like a graphic of all the fixtures. Let's just jump to their fixtures. Hey, we can do that for Western Sydney Wanderers. If it's even there, looks like it may not have loaded up yet. Let's have a look. Of course, I've got Sydney Derby round 1 and then Western United away round 2 before playing home matches against Adelaide and Newcastle Jets. Okay. Feel like they could be winnable games. And then the Sydney Derby in round 5. I think that's a pretty... I think Wanderers would take that. I think Wanderers would take that opening 5. That's a pretty decent start to the season. Obviously, Sydney derbies are always tricky. Anything can happen. And they obviously struggled at home in the derby last year, didn't they? They were a little bit more successful away in the last couple of years, at least. But yeah, Adelaide, Newcastle at home there. Western away. Western away could be interesting. On Ironbark Fields this year, they could make that place a fortress, so that could be interesting as well. Let's see if we've got the fixture up here on the fixture section. Not yet. I'm sure that'll come soon enough as well. Let's have a look at some of the other clubs' full fixture list here. I wonder if have just posted that graphic here as well. Who have we missed? Who have we haven't had a look at yet? We've already had a look at City. MacArthur. Glory we had a brief look at as well. Adelaide United. Let's have a look at the Reds. This is Adelaide. Bit of a hot ones advertising style here for the Reds. So the Reds are opening the season with a bye. They do get the bye in the first round of the season before hosting Mariners. Away to Wanderers, home to Western. Away to Brisbane, home to Perth. That's not a bad draw. You feel like maybe Mariners home, Wanderers away could be tricky, but Western, Brisbane, Perth, with Western and Perth at home, those could be winnable fixtures for Adelaide. Brisbane away, we yet to get a vibe of sort of how Brisbane will look this season. They struggled in the Australia Cup playoff last week. That could be a pretty decent. Opening 5 rounds there or 6 rounds, I guess. We've got a bye in round 1. Interesting how that says midweek bye here. What's up with that? That's over New Year's Eve. Let's have a look at that. Let's scroll down here on the main fixture. Announcement says back-to-back Saturday games on free-to-air Channel 10. See, that's why you guys are here, man, to point out the little details that I miss. Is that right? Oh, you're right. Let's have a look at this. Check out this this has come from A-League Commissioner Nick Garcia. We worked hard to make sure the 2024-25 fixture meets fan, partner, and club feedback. And to create a new free-to-air format with a doubleheader every Saturday night on Network 10 for fans to enjoy. We can't wait for the football to begin in October. I like that. My initial reaction is good. I like that. Makes it a bit more of an event. If the coverage is longer, I guess it'd be harder to get people to tune in because previously they would on free-to-air was the Saturday night game and then the Sunday Arvo game. I guess it's just easier to get people to tune in just for one big night rather than 2 separate days. That's cool. That's cool. So I assume that just means then when we look at like the fixtures, is it'll be so you'd imagine it'd be like the 5 p.m. and then the 7:35 kickoff. It is a bit confusing here. It does say 7:35 in the official fixture. Some of the times up here say 7:45, so there might be a change there. You'd imagine it'll be the back-to-back, 5 o'clock, 7:35, which could be interesting. And it looks like every week that is how it looks, 5 p.m. and then 7:35. I don't mind that. That's cool. And then, you've got that 35-minute gap in between the 2 games for, for them to head back to the studio or whatever and do their pre-game and post-game chat. That looks good, though. What do you guys think of that? Dan asks, will that still be full 10 bold coverage with studio and stadium analysis? You'd imagine so. 10 bold coverage. We'd love to see it on the full. I wonder if they clarify here if it's going to be on the main channel or not, or whether it will indeed be on 10 bold. You'd imagine it probably will be on 10 bold. Let's have a look here. Doubleheader it just says Network 10, hey? I like it though. My initial reaction to that is good, but that is a big change. That is a big change for sure. They've played around with a couple things, especially when it comes to the Saturdays. You might remember a few years ago they had they played. There was a simultaneous kickoff prime time on Saturday. Didn't really work out. It was especially in a competition when we only have like 6 games a week. It felt really weird to have like 2 games kicking off at the exact same time. It was tricky just to cover everything. Paramount Plus still have the TV rights? I assume so. Yeah, I'd assume so. Surely, they wouldn't just show 2 games a week just on Channel 10. That's it. Let's see if there's any other details that we've missed here in the article. There's a little, just skim through it. Melbourne Derby round 2, of course. Interesting how they're calling it the State of Origin Showdown here. Brisbane Roar, Sydney FC in round 3. And in round 3, West United also host Melbourne City. And the first ever New Zealand derby with Wellington taking on Auckland. That's a fair point. Actually, we've got derbies, the first 3 rounds, hey? So we've got Sydney derby round 1, Melbourne derby round 2, the Kiwi derby. I think they're calling it the Kiwi derby too, which is cool. I hear they're calling it New Zealand derbies. I've seen them call it on the Auckland socials. They were calling it the Kiwi derby. So here we go. Here's an interesting note. The addition of a second New Zealand team will see the Isuzu Ute A-League men season extend to 29 rounds, with each club playing 24 home and away fixtures, plus 2 additional third matchup fixtures. Unite round and 1 other matchup, plus 3 bye weeks. That makes sense. Of course, they've been strategically placing the buys to help out the Central Coast Mariners and Sydney FC, who are, of course, featuring in AFC club competitions. 4-match gap between each bye. And let's see if there's any changes to the final series here. I don't think there is. 2025 final series will follow last season's format, 2 elimination finals, and then the 2-legged semis. Grand final, of course, taking place. This is important. Grand final will be taking place between the 31st of May and 1st of June. Troy says, I hope Paramount gets the flick. I don't think it's been good. Yeah, a lot of fans have pretty mixed feelings when it comes to Paramount Plus. They've certainly had some of their issues over the last couple of years. Took them a while to get the pause play function in. So it doesn't look like there's any major changes here as well. They've chatted about the buys here. This article coming from the official A-League website. But I tell you what, it is a good way to, even though it is a bit funny having a derby round 1, we maybe prefer it a few rounds into the season. It is exciting that we do have big derbies the first, 3 weeks of the season. Well, what's in round 4 as well? I mean, if we jump down to round 4 here in the full fixture list, I mean, Sydney versus Macarthur, that's almost a derby. I guess you could call that a derby. And then after that, you got Unite round, and the Sydney derby's there as well. So there's some big fixtures taking place in the first 5 rounds. The primetime kickoffs especially. I mean, you've got the Sydney derby, round 1 on Saturday. Got the Melbourne derby, round 2 on the Saturday. Round 3 is, of course, the Kiwi derby, New Zealand derby between Wellington Phoenix and Auckland, November 2. And then scrolling down to Saturday, November 9, we've got Sydney FC hosting Macarthur SC, which is, in a way, it's a derby, I guess. And then round 5, we know we've got the Sydney derby once again in Unite round. Dance asks, is Canberra in next year if they can get an investor? Hey, we hope so. We hope so. Nothing is officially confirmed yet, but we'd love to see Canberra in the league for sure. We'd love to see them. Obviously, Canberra in the A-League women's competition, and there's a lot of chat that they could join the men's. Obviously, there was an expectation that they might have joined for this season. Didn't happen, unfortunately. Justin G'day says, a dream for me would be for Optus to pick up the A-League. I think that would be ideal for many fans. I mean, we know that obviously there's a huge following for the Premier League, and I think they also have La Liga on Optus Sport too, don't they? There's a big following, obviously, for those competitions. And I think they announced recently that they picked up the FA Cup, which was previously on Paramount Plus. That'd be pretty cool. I think that would be beneficial for the A-League if they could show it in the same place where they show Premier League and all that other stuff, because we know there's such a big following for those European leagues here in Australia. So I think that'd be cool. I think, if people are tuning in for their Premier League games, like a late Saturday night, just before that, they can whack on the A-League. And that's the kind of cool thing, the way that the scheduling sort of works out. You've got like your primetime Saturday night game, and that can sort of lead straight into the early kickoff in the Premier League too. Hey. Spencer says Canberra and Tassie should be the next 2 clubs. I'd like to see Tassie in the league. I think that'd be fun. They just need a rectangular stadium, really. I don't know if there's any solid, good rectangular stadiums down there in Tasmania. We've seen Western United take a bunch of home games down there, and they've played at those ovals. And ideally, they'd want to be playing in a rectangular stadium. Does anyone know? Is anyone here from Tasmania? Is there any like decent rectangular stadiums in Tasmania? I wouldn't even know. No, man. In regards to the manager position of the Matildas, who do you think would be the next Matildas manager? I am a big fan of Ante Juric. I'd love to see them appoint Ante Juric. I think that'd be a really exciting appointment. He's been so successful with Sydney FC over the last few years, just consistently having successful season after successful season, and especially considering that every year or so he's sort of lost some key players to moves overseas, and he's managed to back up year after year and build this fantastic team. I'd be really, really excited to see what Ante Juric would do in charge of this Matildas team. But yeah, I'm excited to see who comes in, man. I'm excited to see who comes in. Obviously, Tony Gustafsson departing the Matildas yesterday following the Olympics. So the one real major change that we're also keeping an eye on, it was Thomas who mentioned it earlier on in the chat, back-to-back Saturday free-to-air games on Saturday, which I like. And again, we're going to assume, surely you can assume that means the 5 p.m. kickoff and then the 7:45. Well, it could well be 7:35 kickoff as well. So that could potentially mean, and with like a 7:35 or whether it is 7:45, you'd imagine that would take the broadcast through till like 10 p.m. So that means on free to air, you've basically got 5 hours back-to-back A-League action, which is fun. That's really cool. I like that. Again, like what they did last season, they had the sort of the Sunday Arbor fixture. Last year, it was 3 p.m. quite often. So I like this. It's just to build more hype for it and make it a big back-to-back thing, rather than people just tuning in for like they happen just to watch one game. They realize there's 2 games back-to-back, and they can see 4 clubs in action overall. Darth Eduardo, good to see you here. I'm doing well. Feeling good. Very, very excited to have the fixtures here and start planning these away days. And we'll be doing plenty of live watch-alongs throughout the season as well. I can tell you right now, probably going to be doing a live watch-along for that Saturday night fixture, the Sydney Derby, round 1. Dan says, I looked at Hobart for... Football Manager. Create a club save, and there's only ovals. The rest are parks and school pitches. Yeah, it's a problem. Like, they've only got ovals down there, it seems. Hey. Hello, Sam. Good to see you here in the chat, as always. Hope you're doing well. How's it going, Lockie? Always a pleasure to watch your streams before work. Also, I hope this is F3 derbies. Different results-wise, as I don't want to be... we don't want it to be another washout with Central Coast Mariners taking the trophy. Yes, of course. Let's have a look at those F3 derby dates once again. We know we're getting the first derby at Allianz Stadium, and I'm curious to see what the turnout would be like for that. I hope it's a big turnout, and especially, obviously, with a lot of neutrals coming for Unite round. That could be a lot of fun. And, of course, this isn't the first time we've seen F3 derby played at Allianz Stadium. 2008 Grand Final, Newcastle Jets winning 1-0 over Central Coast Mariners. Courtesy of a goal from Mark Bridge. I remember being at that grand final, a very young me at that grand final. That should be interesting. I'm open to it. I know people have mixed feelings when it comes to putting the derbies in the Unite round, but hey, let's see how it goes. It might pop off. It might be fun. It is a long wait, though. I think the only concern is maybe it is a pretty long wait here, over 2 months before the next derby. And then 2 months after. I mean, they have spaced them out, I guess, which is fair enough. Industry Group Stadium, Saturday, primetime kickoff as well, which is good to see. Sometimes the F3 derby doesn't get a primetime kickoff as well. Last few years, it's been so annoying, actually. I feel like they've done it last few years in a row, where the F3 derby has been played alongside like the Sydney derby on the same day. And as someone who like obviously wants to watch his team, Mariners, but also like, make sure I do like a live stream for the Sydney derby has been really difficult. So it looks like, am I correct in saying there's no clashes in terms of dates? It looks to be the case, which is great. That's really good. I mean, that is going to help the F3 derby to make it a big standalone fixture. So when it comes around to these rounds, round 5, well, That's Unite round, that's separate. Round 17, round 26. Those will be the focus for those weeks, you'd imagine. These F3 derbies really build up the hype there. So that'll be cool. G'day, Nick. I'm not familiar with the A-League. What teams are considered the biggest teams there? The biggest team in my eyes is Melbourne Victory. They play in the Melbourne Derby. But you're in the right place, Nick, if you want to learn more about the A-League. Melbourne Victory, they've got the biggest membership base, I'm pretty sure. They consistently bring pretty big crowd numbers and have been pretty successful in the A-League. But historically, the most successful team is Sydney FC. They've won plenty of trophies since the A-League kicked off all the way back in 2005. Many would consider these two teams to be the biggest, Sydney FC and Melbourne Victory. Western Sydney Wanderers, rivals of Sydney FC, are pretty big too. They were founded they started featuring in the competition in 2012. Melbourne City are pretty good as well. They have links to Manchester City, the City Group. To me, those are sort of the biggest clubs. I guess as well the fact that they're in sort of the two biggest cities in Australia, in Sydney and Melbourne. Sam says, I feel like there would be Central Coast Mariners fans turn up since Gosford is closer to Sydney than Newcastle is for the Unite round fixture. I see what you're saying there, Sam. I can tell you there'll definitely be a strong contingent of Mariners fans at that F3 derby. As someone who does regularly travel to games in Sydney when Mariners are playing down there, whether that's at CommBank Stadium, Allianz Stadium, Campbelltown Stadium, there is always a pretty strong contingent, and especially considering that this is a derby and Unite round, there'll be a good number of Mariners fans there as well. I think Jets will bring a good number of fans as well. I think with it being Unite round, it'll have that hype, it'll have that excitement. Appreciate you guys tuning in here for this live reaction to the A-League fixtures. Make sure to hit like to support the stream and the channel. You can also consider sending through a super chat. We're going to be live for the next 10 minutes or so. We'll play some griddle towards the end of the stream. If you've got any thoughts or feelings about the fresh fixture release, drop them in the live chat. If you've got any questions, drop them in. With a question in regards to Western Sydney Wanderers. What's your thoughts on the Western Sydney Wanderers transfer window? One signing, bad start. Looks like we're relying on youth for the first half of the season. Really weird, isn't it? One signing so far for Western Sydney Wanderers. You look at some of the other teams across the competition, they've been very busy. One signing. So who knows what's going on at Western Sydney? Bojidar Kraev, it's a great signing. It's a good signing. He was great at Wellington last year. And they needed to sign another sort of attacking player who could play in a wide role like Kraev, because we know Wanderers have lost Brook and Piraeus and who else did they lose to? They've lost a handful of players there. Obviously, we know Marcelo's departed, which is a big loss as well. At the back, Jorrit Hendricks. So there's definitely a number of key positions they have to fill. We did see Wanderers pick up their first win of the season in the Australia Cup round of 32. 2-0 win against Brisbane City. And it was a little bit of a youthful lineup. Zach Sapsford started up top. Alex Badalado playing there as well. So you'd imagine there's still a handful of players to come in. There seems to be some chat online that they're linked with bringing in a centre back from South Korea. So we'll see if that comes to fruition as well. Sam says there's usually more Central Coast Mariners fans at Jets home games than Jets fans itself. I hope that changes this season. Yeah, and I guess that does come down to whenever in the F3 derby, whichever team is having more success, it certainly feels that way. That the last few F3 derbies in Newcastle, it certainly felt like a really strong Mariners contingent, and Newcastle have been struggling a little bit with crowds in the last few seasons. But hey, I remember, almost 10 years ago now, when Mariners were struggling and Jets were doing well, and Jets were bringing huge numbers. Well, Jets usually do bring really strong numbers to Gosford. But yeah, we'll see, Sam. F3 derby, one of our favorite derbies in the A-League, of course, as well. Sam also asks, is there an official name for the derby between Auckland and Wellington? Or is it just going to be called the New Zealand Derby? As it's a bit boring, needs a more exciting name like the North Island Derby. Well, I did see, I think it was on the Auckland socials or something, that they referred to it as the Kiwi Derby. I think that maybe has a bit of a better ring to it than New Zealand Derby. New Zealand Derby is a bit too long, a bit too wordy. This is on the A-League's official website. They have just listed it as the New Zealand Derby here, but maybe there'll be a marketing push to call it the Kiwi Derby, or potentially something else, as you say there, Sam. I mean, the North Island Derby. I feel like I like Kiwi Derby. It could be good. Thomas chiming in regards to Newcastle Jets says Newcastle actually has stable ownership now, so hopefully crowds will rise for them this season. Yeah, dude. Hey, coming from a Mariners fan, I wish all the Jets all the success in the coming future, in the coming years. Obviously, it's great to have the ownership situation sorted out, and as you say there, Tom, hopefully the crowds do start to rise once again, and there might be some successful times coming for Jets. Obviously, they've been starved of finals football for so many years now. In the last decade, they've barely featured in finals, so they'll want to make sure they improve on the pitch as well. They're Newcastle Jets. Casey, good to see you here in the chat this morning. You have to respect the marketing teams for some of the A-League clubs. Thought West United's fixture announcement video was class when they had locals guess the names of each clubs. I'll have to check that out later. I haven't had a chance to have a look at that one. So again, if you're just tuning in, here's a look at round one. Mariners hosting Victory in the grand final rematch Friday. Great to have Mariners hosting the first opening match of the season. Very exciting. Auckland's first A-League fixture. They are hosting Brisbane Roar on Saturday, October 19. These kickoffs here, by the way, are Australian Eastern Daylight Time, so that'll be 5 p.m. local in Auckland. We've got Newcastle Jets hosting Melbourne City on the Saturday, and the Sydney Derby, Western Sydney Wanderers, will host Sydney FC in round one. A bit of mixed feelings, but it looks like from some fans in terms of having that Sydney Derby round one, and then 2 Sunday fixtures as well. Wellington host Western United, and Macarthur SC will host Perth Glory to round out round one. Adelaide will have the bye in the opening week of the season. And of course, if you missed it earlier, it's been revealed here. This is coming from the A-League's official website. There's a new free-to-air format, a doubleheader every Saturday night. So again, you can imagine that's starting from the 5 p.m. kickoff into the 7:45 kickoff, or whether that will be 7:35 potentially. So potentially that means 5 hours on TV if they stretch it out of free-to-air A-League action, which I like. Completely forgot about the distance derby, says Thomas. Well, let's have a look. Hey, can we find the distance derby? We might have to jump to one of the other clubs. Well, here's the thing, right? And I'll ask you guys. For the distance derby, is it going to be Auckland now, or is it Perth? Because am I not mistaken in thinking that the distance derby should now be played between Auckland and Perth? I don't know. I feel like Wellington have sort of established that. Wellington and Perth have established that derby over the last few years. Let's have a look at Wellington Phoenix's fixtures here. Let's see if I wonder if they're still marketing it as sort of the distance derby here. Well, here we go. The Wellington are travelling to Glory away in round 2 on the Saturday. Let's see if how many times. You'd imagine it'd just be twice, hey? And then they have Glory at home on the final round of the season here. So if we're if this one's going to be the distance derby, at either end of the season too, October 26th and then May 2nd. That's like as far away as it gets, which I guess is quite apt for the distance derby, if that is indeed still the distance derby. Let's go to Auckland. Let's see when they are playing Perth Glory as well. No, I will not buy an Auckland membership. Hopefully their member numbers are going strong though. Auckland FC, obviously their inaugural season. Hopefully they kick off with a big membership base. Let's see where they are playing. Perth Glory. Here we go. HBF Park. That's away. January 11, round 13. Casey says no direct flights from Perth to Wellington, so technically it's still further in that sense in terms of travel duration. So are there direct flights from Auckland to Perth? Is that right? Is that right? Troy says keep the distance, keep distance the same. The distance derby the same due to history. Maybe come up with a new name for Perth versus Auckland. I feel the same way as you do, Troy. I think to keep it just the tradition of Wellington, Perth. Those teams have featured in the distance derby for so long now. Let's see when Auckland play Perth later in the season at home potentially. Perth. There we go, towards the end as well. Now, am I not mistaken in thinking that Perth Glory may be finishing the season with 2 away trips to New Zealand? Let's see if we can scroll all the way down here to the final round of the season, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be live for the next 5 minutes or so here before we wrap up. At the end of the article here from the A-Leagues, it looks like Perth Glory might have 2 away days in New Zealand. They do. So check this out. The Perth Glory for round 28 and round 29, they'll be playing Auckland away on the Sunday, 27th of April. And then Friday, 2nd of May, Perth Glory will have Wellington. So there you go, Glory fans. A bit of a New Zealand trip to finish off the regular season there. That makes sense. Obviously, it's a big trip for Glory to head over to New Zealand. And there you go. You obviously imagine they'll stick around there for the week. So there you go. They're even longer distance derby. That's right. That's right. So the fixtures are here, ladies and gentlemen. You can check it out on the A-League website. Of course, we're very excited to start planning. We are very, very excited to start planning away days, and we're going to be doing plenty of live watch-alongs and predictions videos and all that kind of stuff throughout the season. Hey, we were just about to play Griddle, but guess what? I forgot we've already done it, and it resets in 17 minutes, but we're going to be jumping off the live in just a second. Here's how we went in the Griddle. We did this yesterday afternoon. We were live yesterday for the review of the Matildas USA game. I completely misread the statistic here. We were trying to guess players who had for some reason, I had a brain fart and I thought that meant more than 3 sub appearances. So I was going for Fitzgerald and Van Hattem, but then realized by the end that it meant less than 3 substitution appearances. So I read that completely wrong. But overall, aside from that, did all right, though, in Griddle today. Well, yesterday, I guess, the new game, as you can see here, coming in 17 minutes. We always love testing our A-League knowledge here on Griddle. All right, we're going to jump off in a few minutes. Make sure to hit the like button to help out the channel and stay subscribed if you want to keep up to date to more content throughout the season. Feeling good, man. Feeling good about this fixture list. Sydney Derby round 1, Melbourne Derby round 2. We've got the first Kiwi Derby in round 3, Sydney taking on Macarthur round 4, and then Unite round 5. It's a big opening month of the season. It's very, very exciting. And obviously they're going to be juggling with the Socceroos windows here. And we imagine that we'll get the women's fixture release maybe in a few weeks' time. We know the women's season kicks off 2 weeks after the men's season kicks off as well. You got the same, you misread it too, Troy. Yeah, on Griddle. That's right. It completely stuffed me around. So, October 18, the A-League men's season kicks off, and at least we have the Australia Cup to keep us company now from now until then as well. We're going to be doing plenty of predictions, videos, live watch-alongs, and all that good stuff throughout the season. And if you've got any suggestions in terms of what you'd like to see here on the channel in regards to content throughout the A-League season, feel free to drop it in the chat or send me a DM on Instagram. Check out Coast Watch Football across the socials as well. Really appreciate you guys tuning in for this live reaction to the fixtures released. Feeling good. Time to plan some away days and potentially maybe do my first interstate trip. Believe it or not, I've been a Mariners fan my whole life. I'm yet to do an interstate trip to see Mariners in another state. So we might have to organize that for this season, maybe heading to Brisbane or Melbourne. We'll see. Very excited for the upcoming season, guys. It starts in a couple months' time. We've got the Australia Cup resuming this tomorrow. In fact, of course, today's Friday. Tomorrow night, we're going to be doing a live watch along for Perth Glory, Melbourne City. So come join us for that one. It kicks off from 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So make sure to come hang out in the live chat for that one as we watch 2 A-League teams go head-to-head in the Australia Cup round of 32. Once again, guys, really, really appreciate you tuning in. It's been great to see such a strong turnout here, especially for an early Friday morning here as we've got the official fixture drop for the A-League. Great to see that they've released the full fixture list as well. Thomas, thanks as always for tuning in. Good to see you here. And everyone, enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. And very excited for the big, big season ahead. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I'll see you in the next one.